So Soraka is a champion that is really highly picked now, purely because she is an incredibly popular pick amongst people who are fans of spreadsheets, My Little Pony, and furry porn, or all of the above. She's always been the equivalent of a walking health dispenser in League of Legends, and with Sustain being a bit of a bastard to come by these days, what with mana pots being removed, or my team flaming and reporting me for building 6 rejuvenation beads on Ezreal, for Christ's sake, I don't care if it's ranked, I can do what I want! Soraka fits nicely into the current meta of just keeping alive whatever tank in your team happens to be doing well. Now, whilst you could be playing alpha as fuck characters like Leona or Braum, many people decided that despite the fact that they are playing a video game, they'd much rather have their AD and the rest of the team, for that matter, play the game for them, sitting at the back line and praying not to be focused while she dishes health out of her own health bar like a battered housewife. Funnily enough though, Soraka is essentially just a shell of her former self, being a celestial unicorn from the moon. Now, back before the unholy deity that is Riot decided to swing the nerf hammer on her so hard that your great-great-grandmother could feel it, she was probably the slowest goat creature rocking the Rift. Honestly, it didn't matter where you put her back in the day, you could have her support, but her full potential was unleashed in mid lane, where her kit allowed her to control a game which she held in the palm of her hoof. Now, you might not have played Soraka back in the day, hell, you might not have even heard about old Soraka, but I'm going to take you back in time to the early seasons of League of Legends, before Soraka was murdered and replaced with a husk of a champion. And hopefully by the end of this video, we can all lay this champion to rest. RIP. So to get really into the height of Soraka's bullshitness, we have to travel back almost 7 years into the past to the early seasons of 1 and 2, the land that many have heard of, but few have seen. Back to when I remember, back to the good old days, when insta-locking Soraka in mid wasn't even questioned, and you had to quickly type mid when you got into champion select to call your role, and whoever called second to that role was going to argue with you for the next following minute about how much of a complete noob you were and how they deserve mid. Let's go back in time. Honest to God though, with the exception of her ultimate, her entire kit was stripped and gutted and left on the pavement, leaving nothing but the bare bones of what the hell she actually used to be. And despite being a massive pick still nowadays, there is no comparison that you can make that would even do this situation justice. For starters, her W didn't take health from Soraka back in the day. It had a pretty massive cooldown, sure, but it scaled really ridiculously well with her AP. Now, considering that was a healing spell, so it scaling really well with AP meant that she healed shitloads of damage. On top of this, she could not only heal just herself, making playing her mid lane a sustaining monster truck with unicorn horns, but it also granted you bonus armor for a few seconds, which also scaled with your AP, which, when maxed, would give whoever the hell she healed 110 flat armor minimum. Now, to put that into perspective for you, of how absolutely untouchable your carry would be in bot lane if you happen to drop this on them in the middle of a fight, that is essentially like giving your carry more than a Thornmail's worth of armor during that fight. It's like dropping 7 cloth armors, more than 7 cloth armors onto your carry in an instant. You're dispensing cloth armors at an incomprehensible rate that would leave your carry like...
Who needs a map? You belong in a museum.
Now, the enemy ADC, they would go from chunking your AD carry like normal, getting your AD carry to fairly low HP, to within a half a second fighting what is the equivalent of Malphite with a fucking ballista attached to his face. That's not to mention the fact that it synergized with her passive as well, meaning that the lower HP the target is, the stronger the heal is. So your futile attempt at being so audacious as to even attempt to kill the fucking enemy team are literally only powering Soraka's rage boner for healing and completely ruining your day by throwing an AD carry at you that is built like a brick wall with a fucking rocket launcher. Moving right along, to supplement her insane use of her mana, with it costing 160 mana at level 5, which is pretty fucking ridiculous, she'd need a dump truck full of Tears of the Goddess to even consider being able to reliably use that right. Well, her E used to be a doozy of a spell in its prime too. She was able to give herself or her teammates an infusion of mana that was on a 10-second cooldown, and if you were playing in a lane with something like an Ezreal, you could be sitting 2 towns over from the lane and be CSing comfortably without even having to worry about paltry things like mana or effort. This spell single-handedly pretty much made Cassiopeia and Soraka, or Karth and Soraka bot lanes, a thing. It was actually a thing for a very brief period of time. That is right. But this spell came in two parts though, the first part being the mana infusion, of course, that she could cast on her teammates or herself, but not only that, if you happen to cast this on an enemy, they would be silenced. Yeah, that's right, okay. Now, for all you people who have never played before with this Soraka, let's play some Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Now, for your $1 million question, how long was the silence for when it was maxed if cast on an enemy champion? Is it A, 1 second, B, 1.75 seconds, C, 2.5 seconds, or D, until the inevitable heat death of the universe and everything in it? Yeah, that's right. 2.5 seconds was the immense amount of time that you had to sit, twiddle your fingers, have a quick game of fucking Minesweeper, update your MySpace page, or whatever the hell it was that you had to be doing that wasn't playing this fucking video game. Because at this point, can you really call it playing a video game if you cannot do a goddamn thing in it? Or is it like one of those narrative games that you don't really play, like the Stanley Parable or Dear Esther? You just sit in lane and let the story take you on a journey. The story, of course, being Soraka's unicorn power horn, and the destination and final stop, of course, being your type boy pussy. Now, can you imagine how frustrating it would be playing an AP mid champion, someone that, you know, relies on their spells to actually do anything apart from, you know, pathetically tapping you with auto attacks, being completely deprived of that thing for 2.5 seconds, whilst being at the complete mercy of the enemy team to do whatever they want with you? It was beyond insane, and I'm serious, there was a period of time when Soraka was actually fucking terrifying to see in a game when you saw her mid. You think characters like Syndra are fucking spooky? No, screw that, okay? The level of fear that you get from seeing a Syndra in your game, it doesn't even register on the radar compared to how screwed you felt pulling out that Katarina pick that you've been training and you've been working on for so long, and approaching mid lane to do your ritualistic dance in mid before the minions hit there, as is tradition. To be met by a Soraka, a fucking Soraka of all characters. Now, the final regular ability that she has in her arsenal, or had in her arsenal, was her Star Call. Now, whilst her new Star Call calls down a single measly star to give you a little bit of health and to do a little bit of damage, Soraka called down the whole fucking Milky Way to bulldoze literally anything that was in range and stupid enough to exist within her plane of existence back in the early seasons. Now, when she pressed Q, a bunch of stars slam into everything in range. Now, they're unable to be dodged or evaded, these stars all dealing up to 140 damage per hit on a 2.5 second cooldown. Now, alongside this, upon being struck by one of these, your magic resistance is reduced by 6 for 5 seconds. This stacks up to 10 times, which is also affected by her AP, meaning that that number could get even higher if they have a couple of items. So if you're coming into lane with 30 or 40 magic resistance, you think you're pretty safe? Well, if she manages to hit you 5 or 6 times, not only could you be brought down to 0 MR, but you could actually go into fucking negative MR, meaning that every bit of magic damage that hit you would be dealing true damage and then some. This applied to everything that could be hit by her Star Call, meaning that she could crush minions in waves with absolute ease, pressuring you mercilessly under your tower whilst you try and farm in between being struck by celestial beings from space and being fucking silenced every 10 seconds for another 2.5 seconds. If you walked into a team fight, you just start smashing Q, you could reduce an entire enemy team to rubble within seconds. Sure, you could get focused, but oh wait, you give yourself a heal, and now you've got 110 armor for the bear. You've just healed the shit out of yourself with the immense amount of AP that you're also stacking, and you're just a big purple bulldozer making tank stacking MR look like a Poro going toe to toe with one of the 4 horsemen of the fucking apocalypse. Her element remains the same though. It's pretty much the same, so that's kind of cool, I guess. I mean, that part wasn't OP enough to warrant changing, though. You know, healing your entire team from anywhere on the map, meaning that you could just grab a Magi's and you know, sit in mid lane, and get free stacks on a full AP mid Soraka whilst you're completely murdering the enemy. That sounds like fun. You know, I'm starting to think that the good old days aren't actually as good as I thought they were. Interesting. But after this lengthy discussion on Soraka, I truly hope that you've found some solace and knowing that despite how annoying Soraka is in her current state today, it could always have been worse. As usual though, as Soraka in her prime is as good as dead, please comment F down below in the comment section to pay your respects to the support that dreamed of bigger things. The support that wanted more, and more she took. R.I.P. Soraka. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hey guys, this is a new series, and this is the end part of the video where I ask you if you like it, and who should I do next? I was considering doing Evelyn, because there was some pretty funny things that you used to be able to do on Evelyn. Yeah, if you like this, leave a like, and I might do more. Yeah, and also subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later. Bye.